Welcome, everyone, to sunny Los Angeles, California, back in the early 70s, as the NBA on 2K Sports relives this classic matchup between two championship teams. The balanced and savvy defensive-minded New York Knicks with Walt Clyde Frazier and the great Jerry Lucas. They'll face off against the Los Angeles Lakers and their devastating superstar tandem of Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West.
And this game is full of interesting matchups, but I'll be locked in with isolated camera on the battle inside between the Herculean Big Dipper, Wilt Chamberlain, versus Ohio's own, the remarkably talented rebounder and shooter, Jerry Lucas.
Should be fun to watch, and of course the Knicks also have Willis Reed off the bench, another dominant big man in his own right.
Yeah, a deep New York team. We'll see if that plays a role. And then, of course, you have the matchup between Walt Frazier and Jerry West, the primary playmakers for their teams and both outstanding defenders. Two greats going head-to-head.
Yeah, and this one, it's one of those games that both teams would have had circled on the calendar. They need no pep speeches to get up for this one.
And now let's go over the starting lineups. For the Lakers, the high-scoring backcourt of Jerry West and Gail Goodrich. Jim McMillan and Ellis are the forwards. And the big man in the middle, Wilt Chamberlain. And on the other side for the New York Knicks, going up against Chamberlain and Zaw will be the 6'9", Jerry Lucas. Bill Bradley and Dave DeBusch are the forwards. And in the backcourt, Dick Barnett and Walt Clyde Frazier.
You know, Willis Reed may get all the attention for his appearance in Game 7 of the 1970 Finals, but that game was all Walt Frazier. 36 points, 19 dimes, 5 steals. Remarkable. If it wasn't for Clyde, they don't beat the Lakers.
And we see Jerry Lucas showing off that incredible touch, and that's what he was really known for. A big man who could shoot the ball from the outside. And that really spread defenses out and allowed his teammates, guys like Earl Monroe and Clyde Frazier, to have driving lanes to get to the hoop.
Stolen by DeBusch.
It's a couple of turnovers for him here in the early part of the quarter. He's going to have to tighten things up a little bit.
Passes it to Barnett. Frazier outside. He kicks it to DeBusch. Goes right up, and he banks in the layup. DeBuscher's got his first points of the game.
Well, you see the great passing. I mean, that was a trademark for this Knicks offense. Constant motion, kind of an unspoken connection between the players. They really worked well as a unit.
Good on the shot.
That's a nice job on the boards to allow them a second high-quality look.
Well, in 1960, the Lakers moved from Minneapolis' land of 10,000 lakes to Los Angeles, becoming the NBA's first West Coast team.
Here's Bradley. A rebound by Wilt Chamberlain. The Lakers trail. West passes to Goodrich. High post Chamberlain from 17 feet out. No good. The Knicks will take it the other way. And for the Lakers, after 5 titles in the early 50s, they had a lesson in heartbreak during the 60s. Made the finals 6 times, losing each time to the Boston Celtics.
Boy, that is heartbreaking indeed, guys. They came out second best more than they would have liked, no doubt. But the team we see here eventually managed to break through and win a title.
Here's Goodrich, following the score by New York. The feed to Chamberlain, and stolen by Lucas.
They've been awfully casual with the ball here, guys. Too many mistakes.
And 3 of them less than halfway through the first quarter, Steve. I mean, they've got to address that, and I think it's just a matter of concentration.
Smith checked in for the Lakers. Baylor comes in for Ellis. Free throw good, Frazier.
Walt Clyde Frazier out of Southern Illinois. His small school background contrasted his big city image in New York. Fur coat, fancy cars. He was not only smooth on the court, but off the court as well. A style and swag all his own.
Now here's Baylor. Over Jackson. Money from the wing.
Baylor just seemed to hang in midair on that shot. So tough to defend.
And Clyde Frazier so smooth, they said, and I find this interesting, he barely sweated when he played.
Now, cool, calm, under control, that was Frazier. But he definitely worked hard, and who could ever forget his performance in Game 7 of the 1970 Finals against the Lakers. 36 points and 19 assists. Just legendary stuff for Clyde.
Here's a quick shot. Can't hit. Knicks will take it the other way.
Well, not a bad effort there.
He'll usually knock that one down.
Good look. And there's another one for the Knicks.
You know, for a guy of his size and strength, DeBusschere was a fantastic ball handler, even putting in some time at guard during his years with the Detroit Pistons.
Lakers trail by 9.
Elgin Baylor, an 11-time All-Star, a Hall of Famer, and also an underrated rebounder.
Well, he was terrific on the glass. How about as an undersized forward, Steve? He averaged over 13 rebounds a game for his career.
McMillan against DeBusschere. Jimmy Mack knocking down off the catch.
Great-looking bounce pass to set up that play.
Monroe dishes to Lucas. West with the steal. And here's Los Angeles. They trail by 7. Goodrich kicks to Baylor. Shoots over Lucas. The second chance effort. Here's Smith. And the layup falls.
Kevin, it's really hard to deny this guy the offensive board if he's got even the slightest position inside. He'll take advantage of any little slipper you give him.
Good. Frazier's got 5 now. And they turn it over. Stepped in the line that time.
He just lost track of where he was on the floor.
Gets it off. Barnett can't get it to go. Oh, we've seen some great shots in the first quarter. No shortage of offense. Nick. All right, the second quarter beginning in just a moment.
Well, the stories about Wilt Chamberlain are many. I mean, his strength, it was like Paul Bunyan. If a teammate fell to the floor, he'd pick him up and set him on his feet like he was picking up a toddler. But we're talking about a guy who could weigh well over 200 pounds. That's pretty amazing stuff.
Chamberlain is out there with Ellis. Then it's Baylor. Then there's Erickson. And it's Robinson in at the 1 spot. That's the group for the Lakers to start the second quarter. Earl the Pearl with a beautiful finish.
They call him Black Magic. Some hocus pocus on that move for you.
Here's Erickson. Barnett covering. And there's the rejection. Wilt Chamberlain cleaning up the mess.
Chamberlain, such an amazing score. 4th all-time in NBA history. But per game, he's right there at the top of Michael Jordan at over 30 a game.
Reed backing down. Picked up by Ellis. Robinson against Monroe. 6 to shoot. Set it up with the fake, but it's offline. And Clark, like you were saying for Chamberlain, you know, he just needed to be strong to weather, if nothing else, the pounding he took. And Steve, he took a pounding.
He did. I mean, he was kind of the original Shaq. You know, the way he dominated games with his physical play, and then the poor free throw shooting as well. So teams' defensive game plan was basically just foul him and send him to the free throw line. But he was phenomenal at both ends of the floor.
Goes up on the high post. That's good. Monroe's got 4 points now in the quarter.
And Monroe with those circus shots, he always finds a way to score. And with Wilt Chamberlain, I think his story and his legacy will forever be intertwined with that of Bill Russell. And, of course, that's a problem for Chamberlain because Russell won 11 championships to just 2 for Wilt.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's a bit unfair on some levels. I mean, Chamberlain was regarded as the incredible individual talent with 4 MVPs to his credit, 13 All-Star appearances in 14 seasons. But Russell was the big winner with 11 titles. And I don't know if you necessarily can categorize Chamberlain as not being a winner. Russell had more titles, but Chamberlain made his mark too.
Here's Goodrich. Still looking to get on the scoreboard. West outside.
You know, Kevin, you think of Jerry West, you think shooter. I mean, but in the history of the NBA, he's one of the best rebounding guards there ever was.
Well, he averaged about 6 per game for his career, but had years where it was closer to 7 per game. Not a surprise, given his knack for being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, he didn't try to get too cute on that one. He just simply threw it down.
Still, though, Steve, makes for a great highlight, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, anytime he dunks the ball, it's pretty to watch because he is athletic.
McMillan kicks to Chamberlain. Shoots. Offensive rebound. Pass to Erickson. Chamberlain against Lucas. Knocked away. It's stolen by Frazier.
Well, for as pure an offensive player as Clyde Frazier was, he could really wreak havoc defensively. Some of the fastest hands you'll ever see. Good foul. Make him earn the free throws. Don't let this team dunk.
I like that. That's a smart foul. I mean, it's a lot easier to dunk it than it is to hit 2 free throws. Make them earn them at the stripe. And you look at the history of the New York Knicks, they're a founding member of the NBA back when it was called the Basketball Association of America in 1946.
Here's what the Lakers are going with right now. Ellis comes in for Chamberlain, and it's Baylor in for Erickson. Jackson, he's checked in for the Knicks. Monroe comes in for Barnett. Fades and shoots. Fades away. Nails it. Well, speaking of the Knicks' origins, they and the Celtics, the only founding teams that are still in their original cities.
And the team named the Knickerbockers was actually a name used for the descendants of the first Dutch settlers of New York. A lot of history and tradition for this team.
Free throw good, Frazier.
And Walt Clyde Frazier, as he was known, one of the seminal players in Knicks history, led that franchise to a championship. And, of course, known not only for his work on the court, but for being a fashion icon in the 70s as well.
Well, I think he was fashionable, he had flair, and he was fundamentally flawless. So, a 7-time All-Star, a 7-time All-Defense first team. He led the Knicks to both of the franchise's 2 titles.
And Lucas slams it in.
Well, that's the problem. You turn the ball over, and your defense just isn't set up at the other end.
And sometimes when it happens that way, it almost feels like a 4-point bucket.
Kicks it out to Ellis. From about 19 feet, the shot's good on the assist by West. West has got 4 assists in the game.
They are just lighting him up from mid-range area.
You know, sometimes we forget about the value of the mid-range or in-between game. This team has made 8 of their last 10 with that shot, the in-between shot.
Lucas, that's good.
And that shot there was from around modern three-point range.
But, of course, the NBA three-point line wasn't introduced, Steve, until 1980.
But before then, you can see what a challenge it was to score inside. Defenses could just pack the paint, knowing they didn't have to recover out to that three-point line. Great awareness by fouling on that layup. Make him earn 2 points.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, send them to the line instead of giving up an easy 2.
And some changes here for the Lakers. Chamberlain's checked in for Baylor. Robinson is subbed in for Goodrich. And then for New York, Reedy's checked in for Jackson. Bradley comes in for DeBusschere. And it's Barnett in for Monroe. Here's Frazier. That is good. Frazier's got 10 points in the game. Lakers trail by 13. West kicks to Robinson. Ellis. A strong finish under heavy pressure all over. Ellis has got 5 points in the quarter. It'll count. Frazier. No good. That'll do it for the first half.
You look at what Frazier has done so far. 10 points, and he's picked up 4 at the line in this one.
Welcome back, everybody. Third quarter just about to get going here in what has been so far a runaway game.
You know, Wilt Chamberlain was a player who really changed the game, guys. I mean, literally. You look back in 1964, the league widened the key from 12 feet to 16 feet that we see today. And that was largely attributed to Wilt and his dominance in the paint area.
Well, and you talk about the rule changes due to Wilt, Clark. It was the same way with college basketball outlawing dunks for a time because of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And some of these big guys were just larger than life, and it's almost like league officials didn't even know what to do about them, so they had to change the rule.
Setting the floor for the Knicks. Barnett is out there at Frazier. Then it's DeBusschere. Then there's Bradley. And it's Lucas in at the center filling out the middle. The outside leaner. The second chance points on the tip in. Lucas has got 8 points.
Boy, every time they drop it in, they do so from close range. Easy baskets.
Yeah, high percentage looks time and time again, guys, and it's paying off for them the way they're playing this game. I like their strategy.
Here's Barnett. Fall back, baby. Dick Barnett with the pretty J.
Well, for a small forward, Bill Bradley, really an extremely skilled ball handler. He was a high school legend, and he worked so hard on his game, and it sure paid off for him. Became a real star for the Knicks.
Takes it up. The shot's good from DeBusschere. 6 points for him. Lakers trail by 15.
Jerry West, definitely a two-way player. Very athletic, long arms, and he was a perfectionist. He took things very seriously at the defensive end.
Deflected.
Now, that was just a heave down court. I don't like their chances.
So he gets the whistle. Contact on the way up and 2 shots coming up. And the all-defensive team didn't exist for most of West's career. You know, they began that back in 1969.
And even though he had played some really good years prior to that, he still made the all-defensive team 5 times in his last 6 seasons. And he was an outstanding defender throughout his career.
And he can't hit the second.
Well, in 1971-72, Jerry Lucas led the Knicks in rebounding and field goal percentage. And he was second only to Frazier in scoring and assists. Such a vital part of that Knicks team.
Bradley against Chamberlain. Shoots from 12. Shots good by Ellis. Ellis has got 9.
And, you know, you talk about Jerry Lucas. He's a guy that I'm very familiar with, having played at Ohio State and being part of that Buckeye basketball family. You know, he outscored Wilt Chamberlain in the 72 finals. I mean, 6'9" going up against a 7'1" giant. That's impressive.
Some changes for the Lakers. Erickson comes in for McMillan. Robinson is subbed in for West.
And I think what really stands out about Clyde Frazier was his size for a point guard at 6'4". Combined with his quickness, that really made him special.
And here is Lucas. 8 points for him. Bradley can't get it to go. And talking about Frazier's size and quickness, that's part of what made him such a great defender.
Yeah, and don't forget about the great hands too, guys. I mean, he had tremendous hands, strong and quick. He'd lay off you and then dive in for steals at just the right time. Defense was definitely his calling card, his signature statement.
Goes straight up. Ellis can't get it to go. For the Knicks, Jackson, he's checked in for Barnett. And Monroe's subbed in for Frazier.
And when you talk about Bill Bradley, guys, you talk about somebody who represented the Knicks with his intelligence, his hard work, an unbelievable player out of Princeton, drafted by the Knicks and became an integral part of those championship teams. And then, of course, later went on to become a senator from New Jersey and actually ran for president as well.
Goodrich against Bradley. Count that one.
And, you know, one of the things that made Gail Goodrich so good was he was quick, he was strong, he was fast, and being left-handed, he seemed to catch defenders off guard. Defenders generally aren't as accustomed to guarding lefties, and it changes the angle you have to take with your footwork.
Sometimes folks forget about his decent mid-range jumper. He can knock those down all game given a chance.
Chamberlain. And he was fouled in the act of shooting. Chance here now for a three-point play.
And I'll tell you, the thing that makes Wilt Chamberlain unique, and when you compare him to today's stars, unlike a lot of players from back in that era, I think Wilt would absolutely stand up physically to today's player.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, you go back and think about his size, his measurements. I mean, even for a modern-day center, he's 7'1", over 300 pounds, rock-solid build. Even before the training methods of today, dominant probably in any era.
Here's Monroe.
Wow, what a board. The little guy somehow coming up with the ball.
And the pass to Erickson. Over to Busher. Erickson misses.
A nice little rebounding advantage they're enjoying here.
Yeah, and that's the reason they've got this big lead. I mean, they're dominating the glass and really being tougher than their opponent. Another fast break hoop. They're just outrunning their opponent here.
You know what, Steve? I think the defense has left themselves vulnerable, and they're learning the hard way that speed definitely kills.
Well, when you think about Detroit basketball, you think blue collar. And Dave DeBusschere really exemplified that with his hard-nosed play. There's a lot of contact there. Good call.
You know, he bothered his shot, but he still got a pair of free throws out of it.
The free throw drops for Jackson.
And off the bench for the Knicks, a very youthful-looking Phil Jackson. He was a real fan favorite in New York. Came off the bench and provided energy for that famous Knicks team. And of course, Jackson went on to become one of the great coaches in NBA history, winning multiple titles.
Yeah, you know, people forget that he was part of two teams that won titles with the Knicks. I mean, he got 11 more as a coach, and he's the 13 total is the most of anyone in NBA history. How about that?
The Knicks leading by 14. Monroe with it. He's got 10. Back to Bradley. Shoots it up. Dollar Bill Bradley knocks it down.
Look at their scoring. Mid-range jumpers account for 6 of their last 10 points.
Well, defensively, they're doing a nice job of keeping them out of the paint, but you got to give them credit. They're knocking down shots.
West passes to Chamberlain. And a foul called on the shot. Got him on the way up that time, so he'll shoot 2 right here. It's going to be on Willis Reed. And that one misses.
Shooting for Los Angeles, Wilt Chamberlain. Taking 2 shots.
And he sinks the second. Here's Monroe. And the whistle blows on the backcourt violation. He went over and back.
Lakers ball.
Just 4 seconds left here in the third quarter. And West with the quick release jumper.
Beautifully executed play there to get that basket.
Puts up a prayer. Can't get it to go. Well, through 3 quarters of play, down double digits, it may be difficult.
And Wilt Chamberlain had his share of nicknames over the years. Wilt the Stilt being one of them. How about Goliath? He really didn't like that one very much. His favorite was actually the Big Dipper.
West is out there with Goodrich. Then there's Chamberlain. Then it's Baylor. And it's McMillan in at the 3. That's who's in the game for the Lakers.
Nice feed by Dave DeBusschere. I mean, he had such a high basketball IQ. It's hard to believe that at the ripe old age of 24, Dave was the Pistons player coach, the youngest head coach in NBA history. And you know, they called him the Big Dipper, Steve, Wilt Chamberlain. That nickname actually came from his friends back during his school days. I mean, they always saw him dipping his head when he went through doorways. For your information, doorways typically are only about 6'8". I've got to duck through some of them. And that's how he got the name Big Dipper, dipping beneath door frame.
Second chance shot. Chamberlain with the block. But they recover it. Barnett passes to Reed. Changes up. And the running layup is good.
You know, guys, we're really seeing them try to force the issue to get the ball inside.
And, of course, at this point, the three-point line didn't exist, guys, so you really had to get the ball close to the basket.
Here's McMillan. Baylor, defended by Lucas. Count the bucket.
Elgin Baylor was so good at scoring when he needed to for the LA Lakers. I mean, really a great player at getting to the rim and finishing there. Really creative as well.
New York calls timeout. Talking about Baylor, you know, you get close to the rim like he can, and it gets tough to finish when you're only 6'5". But, Steve, it seemed to me like he played bigger than that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he played much bigger than 6'5". Because of his long arms and his explosiveness and his strength, he would always use angles and power to get his way to the rim and get around the defense.
Looking at who's out there now for the Lakers. Johnson, he's checked in for Chamberlain. Erickson comes in for Baylor. Robinson is subbed in for Goodrich.
He's really taking the initiative to score the basketball inside now.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, before the introduction of the three-point line, having a great player who could score in the paint was such a huge advantage.
Here's Frazier. Rebounded by the Lakers.
A very rough quarter for him as not much is falling right now.
Here's Erickson. Back to Robinson. He passes to Erickson. And count it. 2 points with a chance for one more at the free throw line.
The career of Wilt Chamberlain, almost unbelievable, the types of numbers and records that he set. I mean, you could just go on and on. You could fill up a whole book with his record.
He sure could. He got the 100-point game. How about the season? He averaged better than 50 points per game. He led the league in rebounding for 11 of his 14 seasons. I mean, his imprint on this game will live on forever.
Shot clock at 6. Jumps up and fouled hard that time. He'll get to the line and shoot 2.
And, you think about Wilt Chamberlain, guys, all the scoring titles, the incredible rebounding numbers. It seems amazing that he only won 2 championships.
Well, you know what, guys? Winning championships is more about teams than individual brilliance. One incredible player can't always make it happen in terms of championships. But this talented Lakers team, one of those with which he broke through and won the title.
Chamberlain's checked in for the Lakers. And then for New York, Lucas is checked in for Rack. DeBusschere comes in for Jackson. And Monroe subbed in for Barnett. Lakers trail by 14. Now Robinson. DeBusschere gets the reach-in call. That is his first foul of the game.
Well, the 71-72 Lakers not only won the title, they set a record that still stands today with 33 straight wins. That's a remarkable achievement, guys.
Here's Monroe. West picks him up. Chamberlain gets called for the reach. That'll be his second foul of the game.
Take a look at what Monroe's been doing. He's got 10 points, and he's chipped in defensively with the steal as well.
That was a beautiful steal. And, it's not just the steals, Clark. It's the ball pressure. It's just the aggressiveness that he's showing, really disrupting the offense.
Passes to Erickson, and stolen by Lucas. The Knicks leading by 14. With the shot. The shot's good from DeBusschere.
Well, going back to the Lakers, Clark, and that season that they had back in 71-72, 69 wins in the regular season, a 33-game winning streak. I don't think that will ever be duplicated. It's amazing when you think how successful this Lakers franchise has been. This particular team won the organization's 6th championship, and they were disappointed they didn't actually win more with so many finals appearances. And fast forward to today, and the Lakers, one of the great franchises in the league. In fact, LA and Boston have combined to win about half of the available NBA titles in the league's history. Chamberlain, the all-time rebounding leader at just shy of 23 per game and almost 24,000 for his career. Amazing numbers. He also holds the record with 55 rebounds in one game.
Reed backing down. Chamberlain picks him up. Reed misses. And the only one who came close to Chamberlain in rebounding was Bill Russell.
Yeah, those two really in a class by themselves, guys. I mean, both averaged over 22 rebounds a game. And, they lead the next closest leaders in terms of rebound average. They lead them by 6 a game. That just shows you how remarkable they were in rebounding the ball.
And the Knicks with the ball after the basket by the Lakers. That's good from West on the assist from Goodrich.
Nice little run here, but it may be too little too late.
Yeah, I agree. Just not enough time, Steve. The clock is their enemy, not their friend.
West against Monroe. Leans inside. So the whistle blows on the shot and 2 free throws for the contact right there. And the first one at the line is good. DeBusschere, he's checked in for the Knicks. Frazier comes in for Williams. He's perfect from the line this time.
Huge free throws there, Kevin. He just put this game out of reach.
Now here's Ellis. Defense is right there.
Yeah, plenty of contact there. Easy call.
Steve, when you miss a shot like that, you know he got hit on the way up.
The first one falls. A different look for New York. Jackson comes in for DeBusschere, and Jones subbed in for Frazier.
2 shots.
And Ellis drops them both. 32 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Now here is Monroe. And stolen by Chamberlain. Here's West. The basket good off the assist from Chamberlain.
Boy, that is a sweet feed from his teammate there.
Time call here. The Knicks decide to talk it over. They lead by 8. 19 seconds left to play here in the fourth. Guys, what's your take?
Not sure why they're calling this timeout. The game is pretty much over.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Steve. Maybe they just want to bask in the win just a little longer, but I don't agree with it. Let's go. Get out of here.
And stolen by Goodrich. And it would take divine intervention for them now to get back in it.
And even that might not be enough.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you think?
I don't see it. Yeah, very little chance of a comeback. I think this is over.
Here is Frazier. And so they foul intentionally.
Lakers foul. Jerry West. That's his second personal foul. 4th team foul.
Sinks the first of 3, and that makes it a 7-point lead.
Taking 3 shots.
And the second of 3 shots at the line, missing. 1 to go. Makes it 2 out of 3, and it's an 8-point ball game. And the Lakers call time here. They're losing by 8. 6 seconds left here in the fourth quarter. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, they're not going to cash in just yet.
Well, hope springs eternal, I guess, partner.
6 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Here's West. So it's New York picking up the win.
Wow, what a great road.